It is the year 1200, the dead middle of the night, and a monk jolts awake in a freezing stone room. Something is wrong. He might be late.
He has one job right now. Wake everyone else for the night prayers at exactly the right hour. Be early and it is wrong. Be late and it is a sin. But there is no sun to read, no clock on the wall, no phone glowing on the nightstand. So how on earth does he know what time it is? To solve that one nagging problem, monks like him would end up building a machine, and that machine would escape the monastery and go on to rule your entire day. Your alarm this morning, your calendar, your back-to-back meetings, all of it traces back to a man in the dark trying not to miss a prayer. To see how we got here, go back further to the year 500 and a man named Benedict writing a rule book for monks. Benedict had one fierce conviction. Idleness, he wrote, is the enemy of the soul. Empty time was dangerous time. So his fix was radical for its day. Account for every single hour. Fill it with prayer or with work and never let it drift. He carved the day into fixed prayer times, 8 of them, from before dawn until just before sleep. Each one had a name and an hour. This was something genuinely new. Almost everyone else lived by the sun and the seasons, by the task in front of them, not by a grid of named hours. The monastery had quietly become the first place on earth where life ran by a timetable instead of by the sky. His motto became 2 words, pray and work, both sacred, both scheduled, and neither one allowed to swallow the whole day. And this was not one quiet abbey. Benedict's rulebook spread across Europe until thousands of monasteries ran on the very same kind of clockwork day. There was just one enormous problem buried in this beautiful plan. In a world with no clocks, how do you actually know when it is time? So the monks improvised with everything they had. Bowls of water set to drip at a steady rate, candles marked with lines that burned down hour by hour. They counted the psalms they recited. They watched specific stars climb the sky. They guessed and they prayed they had guessed right. And every method failed in the same place, the dead of night, a cloudy sky, a winter so dark the stars vanished, a candle that guttered out. A sundial was no help at all. It needs the one thing the night never offers, the sun. The moment the light failed, they were flying blind. Sleep through it or misrate a star, and they might pray at the wrong hour or miss the office entirely. To them, that was a quiet disaster. One poor monk drew the hardest duty of all. Stay awake, track the passing hours, and wake the whole community at the right moment. Get it wrong, and everyone fails together. Now picture that same quiet pressure every night for centuries in monastery after monastery across Europe. A whole civilization was now desperate for one thing it did not have, a reliable way to mark the hours all by itself. For a long stretch, their best answer was beautifully simple, a bell. Ring it and every monk knows to stop and come. The bell became the voice of the schedule. You didn't check the time, you obeyed the sound. And the bell did far more than call them to prayer. It marked meals, work, silence, and sleep. The whole day was conducted like music by one rope. Soon, whole towns began living by the abbey bell next door, rising and trading and resting to a rhythm set by monks they would never meet. And here is a detail that gives the whole story away. Our word clock comes straight from the old word for bell. A clock, at its root, is not a thing that shows the time. It is a thing that rings it. That tells you exactly where this is heading. Because a bell still needed a ringer who knew the hour. The monks were right back at their problem. They needed a bell that could keep time and ring itself. Late in the 1200s, in and around the monasteries of Europe, the answer finally clicked into place: the mechanical clock. At its heart was one clever trick called the escapement, a way to let a falling weight slip down in tiny, even, countable beats. Tick, tick, tick. This was no delicate thing on a shelf. It was a room-sized contraption of iron gears and heavy weights groaning away inside a stone tower. And here is the part that surprises almost everyone. The very first clocks had no face and no hands at all. They could not show you the time. They did exactly one thing. They struck a bell automatically at the right hour. The clock was born as a machine to ring the bell. Its very first purpose was an alarm, a device to wake the one monk so that he could wake everybody else. One abbot named Richard of Wallingford built a clock so intricate it tracked the sun, the moon, and the stars. Monks had become the great clockmakers of their age. To keep the bells regular, the clock sliced the day into hours of exactly equal length. Before this, an hour had quietly stretched and shrunk with the seasons. Soon these iron giants climbed into church towers across Europe, striking the hours out over whole towns that had never owned a clock of their own. They had built a machine to help them obey the schedule. They had no idea the machine was about to put the entire world on one. Because the clock did not stay behind the monastery walls, the towns wanted one too. A clock went up in the church tower, then the town hall, and for the first time in history, an entire city ran on the same shared hours. And once a city shared the hours turned into money. Merchants timed their deals, lenders charged by the day, and labor could be counted by the clock. At first, the clocks rang only the hours. The minute, that little tyrant of the modern calendar, came later as the gears grew finer and our demands grew greater. That changed something deep. Time stopped belonging to the sun and started belonging to the machine. An hour became a fixed, abstract slice you simply obey. Light or dark, summer or winter, whether your task is finished or not, the hour is the hour. One historian put it boldly: the clock, not the steam engine, is the key machine of the modern age. The monastery had taught the world to move to the beat of a machine, from the prayer bell to the town clock to the factory whistle to the time card you punch. Centuries later, the factory finished the job. The whistle blew, the line lurched into motion, and a worker was paid not for a task done, but for the hours spent. We had traveled all the way from praying on time to being clocked on time. The same machine simply pointed at a new master. To be fair, no one person invented the clock, and that grand claim is one historian's reading. But the line from the monk's bell to your morning is real. Which means the schedule you live inside was never handed down by nature. It was invented by monks so they could pray on time. Every alarm that drags you out of bed, every meeting invite, every 9 a.m. sharp, and every back-to-back afternoon, each one is a descendant of a monk in the dark. You lived by a monastic schedule. You simply kept the bell and quietly dropped the prayers. And we obey it more strictly than any monk ever did. They stop to breathe 8 times a day. Many of us never really stop at all. But the monks were not dividing the day just to stay busy. They split it so that every hour was handed to something that actually mattered to them. We inherited the dividing, and somewhere along the way, we lost the why. The bell is in your pocket now, and it rings all day. The only question the monks would ask you is a simple one. What are you ringing it for?